Tim. So last of all, we have the risk report. Which is to provide an update on current significant strategic risks to achieving our objectives, and it summarises progress in managing the risks and actions taken at Q4 relevant to this committee. One of the things I would be like, this is a non-key decision update report only. One of the things I'd like to be doing as we move forward in this committee and updating the corporate plan is having a bit greater visibility of the sort of risks that sit just below the corporate risk register, because we've noted a number of risks today, CRSTS construction period being one that is very high on all of our radars, but it doesn't appear on this because it's being well managed, and therefore it doesn't actually, the final score doesn't hit that. But I think we need to be assuring ourselves that risks like that are being well managed, and we get a bit more visibility rather than just the way that this is presented at the moment. I think that's a challenge for all of us to do that well. Sorry, Adam, I'm probably stealing your thunder.
Well, I was just going to say we had a portfolio review meeting earlier this week and discussed the risk issue that you've raised. You know, we do have a portfolio risk report, so it might be that that's something we could circulate to committee members in the first instance for comments and any issues, and then if you did want to incorporate that into quarterly reviews at committee or something, then I think that would be quite a suitable document to use. But obviously we have the formal risk process with the corporate risks as well that we need to consider.
I get the benefit once again of delivering this report, but I was going to say that I understand as part of the review into the committee system, it's looking at how risk papers are prepared. Of course, you know, we're looking at Q4 up until mid-March because of the timing, and we're of course well into Q1 of the following year. I think we need to be mindful of the organisation's overall approach to managing risk. There is a risk management framework for a reason, so it feels, I don't want to say anything to undermine that, but I think where we have, you know, we've discussed certain risks tonight around mitigation of works at the same time, that as the owner of the programme, it feels right that we were able to provide you with more information on that, as Adam has suggested. Certainly
wouldn't want to undermine the overall organisation risk management approach, but I think just giving a bit more visibility so that the members of this committee can assure themselves that that our anxieties and about certain risks are indeed being well managed.
Indeed, and I'll pick that up with the monitoring officer and the Section 151 officer. In relation to this report, again, it's an update. You'll see paragraphs 12 through to, if you can call them paragraphs, through to 17. There's not an awful lot of change presented in this paper, but just to note, there's a materialised risk in relation to the condition of our sort of infrastructure assets, so that's around our highways, traffic, parking and docks infrastructure. We know we have an ancient city, we know we have a depreciating asset, and that's exhibiting. And then it also notes that there's some mitigating action in relation to each of the two risks identified that make it into this report have been achieved, as well as returning back to that risk. CRR 58 has now remained static for a complete 4 quarters cycle because of, as we know, the depreciating condition of our assets. I'm not sure there's much more to add to it.
Thanks, Chair, and congratulations, Alex, on your new appointment. It's been a tough evening for you, but done very well. On risk management, unfortunately, this is something I have to do in my day job, and we do risk reviews every single month, and it can be quite a painful process, but the idea is it's supposed to be a useful one. And I wonder if the way that the committee could engage with this is differently from how we do now, where we see a report which is somewhat time delayed every now and again, and we just nod it through at the end of the meeting. Rather, we have a workshop outside of the committee structure to go through what's on the current risk register, not just the top line, but the lines below it, and also bring in our own ideas, where we think what actually is our perception of a risk that the council faces in the area of transport and connectivity, and then reassure ourselves that that has been expressed on the risk register in some way, or add value to the process, adding in a risk that no one had thought of. So we could get involved in a much more meaningful way in this, or not at all, because what we're doing right now isn't especially productive in my view.
We actually have, in June, we've got a workshop. We've had 2 of them already to sort of set our forward plan for the next 6 months, and I was considering using part of that to do that kind of process that you were talking about, Nick. So I don't know if there's, I think that would be quite good use of that time, because I think actually we've got quite a packed agenda already and quite a busy forward plan. So rather than necessarily adding a lot more to the forward plan, it might be a really good use, at least for part of that time, to do exactly what you've just described there. So that's maybe something that we could just think about setting up for, I think it's towards the end of June, isn't it? One of those meetings where we all sit in a circle in the big conference room next door and try not to hear all the other committees doing the same thing at the same time. Was it Kaz? Did you have your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to agree with Nick that you know, I spent my career doing risk analyses, and they're very painful. But I think the more people you get in the room, the more likely you are to understand what the risks are, and to be able to have people come in with ideas that can mitigate those risks. So I welcome this proposal.
I think that just adds to what I just said, so thank you. If we could, officers, rather than necessarily piling on a lot more pressure on ourselves, just to sort of dream up things that we might put on the forward plan, let's think about how we might use our time productively when we're looking at things like risks. Shall we, is that, any other comments? I'm seeing a lot of nods to that idea, so I think that's something we're going to do. Okay, well, we note the risk report for now, albeit that with all its strengths and weaknesses, the strength of the process and maybe the weakness of the visibility, note the report as per the recommendation, and I'm going to bring this meeting to a close. So thank you all very much for your attendance. The next meeting of the Transport Connectivity Policy Committee is 5 p.m. on the 11th of July 2025. I think we've got another packed agenda then as well, so I look forward to seeing you all then.